As of the time of this recording is June 2026, and it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So today we're going to talk about just that, men's mental health. So with that said, let's talk. I almost didn't record this episode, and why? Because I am neither a mental health professional, nor am I a man. So in my opinion, I'm like, hey, the stance and the heart posture that I need to have is that of an active listener, to just sit down somewhere and learn, take it in, glean off of some wisdom, and that's it. And also, as I've been doing that, I'm like, you know what? I feel like, or it is in my opinion, that I have certain perspective that ought to be shared, and that's why we're here. For starters, I wanted to share my experience around mental health and its awareness ever since I was a little kid, and just had a sense of awareness. I knew early on that I knew about society's expectations, and that, hey, a man ought to be strong. A man cannot show weakness, which being tired, weary, burnt out, depressed, that's not weakness. That's called being a human. But society has had this expectation on men that they ought not to experience any of those things, at least not openly, at least not publicly, and most definitely not in front of the people that depend on them and that are under their care. And that could be their spouses and their children. Now, the stigma around that, I personally have never partaken in that stigma. And I think that's because very early on in my life, there was a family member, a man, who, although they never blatantly flat out said, I'm struggling with my mental health, I observed something one day. This is a man that is a husband, a provider, a father, a pillar in their respective community. I saw this man one day. We dropped him off at a location, and I knew it was a medical facility of sorts at the time. It's one of those things where the adults don't really talk about it, but you see it, and then you find out what that medical facility is, and it's a mental health place. And then later you find out, because you're listening to adult conversations, that hey, they were suffering from depression and went and got the help. And I knew very early on that was okay to do that. Now, in a Hispanic Latino household, in our culture, really we don't talk about mental health at all. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman or child. Oh, you're struggling with depression, go find something to do. Go find something to do. It's either go stay active, go stay busy, or you're failing spiritually. There's an area in your life where you're not connecting with God. And it's like, hey, sometimes the spiritual component may be a part of it, but that's not the end all be all. Okay? That doesn't negate the actual struggle. That doesn't negate what these men are going through. For me, I've also, if we're really going to take it to the Bible, we're really going to take it to the Word, I'm also seeing different examples in the Bible of strong, strong, fearless men, okay? We're talking about like Elijah, for example. I mean, he killed hundreds of people. I mean, it's Elijah who trash talk Jezebel. I mean, go read the stories in First King. I mean, it's Elijah, a whole warrior. Yet where do we see him at some point? In the desert, wishing he could die, asking God to kill him. depressed, sleeping away, not wanting to do what he was supposed to do. I think about the warrior David, who not only was he king, he was also a warrior and led specialty. He led special ops. Okay, if you read some of the I want to say it's on First Chronicles. It could be Second Chronicles, but I'm thinking it's First, where it talks about how he used to lead a band, like this elite group of soldiers, called the 30, and then he had the 3. And if you read some of their adventures, like this is a hardcore dude. Okay, he will kill people by the tens of thousands. This is David. But go ahead and read some of the Psalms. The man went through depression. Let's talk about Solomon. The man wrote Lamentations. He went through depression as well. Jesus had a moment in the garden where he struggled. The Garden of Gethsemane. And the frustration of not even having his support system being able to be there and be supportive for at least an hour with him in his toughest hour. We have men like Jeremiah, who he's known as the crybaby prophet. So these are men that strong, fearless warriors, like we know them as these heroes of the faith, yet they too struggle. And I think that's why for me, there's not, I don't know, I've never looked at it any different. Like, okay, you're a human and you struggle. So I'm very thankful for that. But I think that for me personally, and I want to say some women do want to know, because, okay, there are women that they don't really create safe space for men. I don't think so. But as for me as a woman, I think what I would want to know is, hey, men, how would you like to be supported? When you are struggling and you feel like you are in the pits of hell itself, when you feel your mind slipping, when you feel like you are not having any wins, how do you want to be supported? And how you want to be supported may differ from person to person. Is it one of those things where, hey, just feed me, or just let me have alone time, or I don't know, let's go out and have some fun, or just sit with me and let me cry it out or talk about it? How do you want to be supported? A very good question. How do you want to be supported? And maybe you don't have language to say how you want to be supported, but it is something to think about. It is something to think about. And then women, we have got to do better. I think it's important to genuinely create a safe space. Firstly, it's important to understand that men will never process stuff the same way we women process stuff. Like, we women, we will, yes, sometimes we'll be in bed and don't want to talk to nobody, be in the dark and be depressed. But we will do things like make drastic changes to our hair. We will go to brunch with our girlfriends and hug it out and cry it out in public, and talk to our sisters and our besties, and go and get a new tube of lipstick and maybe get a little clothing. Like, we will have all these things, right? And I'm not saying that all the women are like that, because we're all obviously a little different, and it really depends on the wave of depression and what kind of led to it. Because for us, I don't know men, for us women, a lot of it is hormonal, like during that time of the month, or if we're going into perimenopause or into menopause or postpartum, sometimes it's hormonal, like, and we just have no control of it, and we just need to be fed and need to be cuddled like a baby. That happens. Okay. But we have the space to do that, and nobody bats an eye when we say we're depressed or that we're going through it. That's just that. But I don't think men process it the same way. And men, put in the comments, I don't know, like, how do y'all process these things? Do y'all just like hang out with other men? Like, the point is here for the women, men will never process things the same way as us women, and that is okay. We are wired completely different, and we're just not them and they're not us, and there's nothing wrong with that. So just because you going out to brunch with your girlfriends and that works for you, or just because you do a little shopping or go to your favorite restaurant and order out and just stay cuddled up on the couch watching TV, and that helps you, that does not mean that that's going to work for that man in your life. That does not mean that's going to work for your husband, father, cousin, brother. It could be totally different. And this is why you got to ask them, how do you want to be supported? They may just want you to listen or whatever. But it is important that you create a safe space. And what I mean safe space is really genuinely not sit there and judge when they're talking to you. Sit there genuinely. Listen to learn. Listen to understand. Not to fix. Listen to learn and understand. And above all else, dare I say, don't you ever use what a man tells you in a moment of vulnerability against them. Ever, 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 ever. Because now you just made sure this man never talks to you about vulnerable things ever again. You will no longer be a safe space. Ever. Amen. Tell me if I'm wrong. So women, during this month and going forward, make sure that you understand that men do not process the same thing way as women do. And they do not begin to open up the same way we do. But you gotta make sure that you are a safe space in order for that man to talk to you and feel comfortable talking to you. And when he does, you gotta ask how he wants to be supported. And that's it. That's all I gotta say. In this month, I'm looking forward to hearing more stories and hearing how certain men like to be supported when it comes to their mental health. And you know, I'll have these conversations with the men in my life and how they want to be supported. But shout out to the men. Hey, you guys rock. Literally, I know we live in a time where the culture tries to pin men against women and women against men. Let me tell you, men, I love y'all. We need you. Women may not admit to it, but we need you. You matter more than you know, more than you think. But that's it. That's my take on it. Till next time.